Hi friend, welcome back to my channel. It's Wit. Today I'm here with another video to help empower and encourage you on your path to purpose. So stay tuned after the intro and let's get into the message. So as you know from watching my previous videos, every time I go through something, I try to get on here and just share it. That way I can help you on your journey too, because I know it's really hard out here, you know, as a believer, and just seeing how the world does things and knowing, you know, what's God and what's the world. And sometimes we just don't have that support that we need. So I try to be that for anybody that's around me, including you. So anyhow, I just wanted to share some things that happened in a message, probably be pretty short message, not too long at least. But either way, you know, I'm let the Holy Spirit work and do his thing. And I really just wanted to reach whoever is meant to reach. So, you know, I'm not going to rush the process. But so, you know, like I said, going through my journey and what I've learned, and I've had my trials this past couple of weeks. As y'all noticed, it's been a little bit longer between videos this time. I haven't been like having a big storm or anything in my life, but sometimes that's when the storms are really happening. That's when the spiritual warfare is really going down, is when you think things are just normal and calm. And not always necessarily spiritual warfare. Sometimes it's just God trying to break something off of us. So either way, whatever the case, you know, this time for me, I just was struggling like with the videos. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I had wrote down so many different ideas, but it just wasn't flowing properly. And then, you know, it stemmed from me personally, like just not knowing what direction I needed to go with some of my decisions in my own life. Part of the reason, you know, I felt led to take a break from social media a few weeks ago. I took a short break, but I got right back on, got sucked right back in. And I still didn't technically take a break because I didn't deactivate my pages or anything. So if I really wanted to go check something or, you know, check a notification or something like that, I would just log in real quick and, you know, look and then get back off. And then I ended up back on there like I had never left. So the first thing I did, you know, when I felt like I wasn't really hearing from God, you know, with the little things I was praying about, I was hearing from God, but like with the big things as far as the direction for, you know, what I was supposed to be doing in my life, and as far as the vision God has given me for my life, I was just kind of confused as to what the next step should be. So I really had to like remove all distractions. So I was like, okay, now I see why you're trying to tell me to deactivate my social media pages. Like, I am too distracted. First of all, my Bible study group has been growing like crazy. Praise God for that. It has been an amazing group of women just coming together to talk about God and encourage each other and support each other. And I know when I first started it, it was really hard because, you know, if a new person comes into a group of women that kind of already are familiar with each other, it's kind of intimidating. But God hasn't let that show this time. Like, he's really been working through this group, and I'm just so grateful for that. So, you know, that started whenever I first got off social media. So I was like, okay, God, I see why you told me I needed a break, because I couldn't I couldn't manage all of this and be distracted with social media at the same time, plus spend time with God and spend time with my kids and, you know, work and do all the things that I normally do. So that made a lot of sense. So I was like, aha, it was an aha moment. But, you know, there was still a lot going on, and that I was still confused about as far as my business. And I was just like, is this the right time? You know, should I wait? Part of my business is kind of seasonal. So I'm like, it's going to get cold soon. Should I just wait till next year? All of these things. It was really fear. That's what it broke down to. I was reading about David in 1st and 2nd Samuel over the past couple of weeks, and God was really trying to tell me, you know, you got to have courage. You got to have courage like David. You got to have the faith like David. And a prayer life like David too. So removing social media, and then also doing like I did a fast for like a few days. I think it was a week where I didn't eat, or I did intermittent fasting with food. So during that time, I just really, like, I would get off work and I would really get in my Bible and just study and, you know, remove any distractions. And God started speaking to me, and he started working in my life. So he actually, you know, he told me to go. Like, on my business, I was like, do I need to take the first step? What do I do with that? You know, and I don't want to get into it too much because I don't really want to talk about it yet. I'm just not ready for it. I just don't feel like it's the right time. So I'm not going to get into that too much, but there was certain steps that I was, you know, kind of hindering, or I was being hindered on, well, really it was just my fear that was hindering the whole process. But, you know, I had kept praying about it. Like, is this the right thing? Is this the right thing? Is this the right thing? And every time I would think I would need to do it, then it was like fear would come in and just all these excuses why I should wait. And it was partly not feeling worthy and partly, you know, being afraid. Maybe I can't do it. Being afraid to fail, blah, blah, blah. Being lazy sometimes, or just too busy, you know, to actually sit down and do the research that I needed to do. And it was like a storm, you know, and it wasn't, sometimes the storms, we don't even know, like, it's so soothing and calming that we don't even realize we're in a storm until we get washed away. So, you know, I was calm, I was comfortable, I was, you know, used to my normal routine, and I just wasn't ready to change that. Well, fear kept me from, you know, changing it really. And I was like really praying on it. I was like, finally, you know, God, give me the courage, give me the wisdom to hear and discern what you're telling me, and recognize your word over my own thoughts and over the enemy and, you know, other people, as well as the courage to take those steps. So God directed me, and I took that next step, and everything is just flourishing. Everything is flowing. I haven't started it officially yet or anything like that, but I mean, I can just see God's work, and I just feel so much better, so much more peace. I can't tell y'all, I was like so confused, and I just like, I'm not hearing you, God. And God's like, because you haven't listened to the last thing I told you to do. So of course, what else am I gonna tell you? You know, if I tell you to do something and you don't do it, how can I give you the next step when you ain't even take the last one? So sometimes when we don't hear from God, it's because we are being disobedient, even though it may be out of fear, even though, you know, he may completely understand. But sometimes we are the hindrance ourselves, our own thoughts, our own mindsets. Given everything kind of worked out with perfect timing. So, you know, God will work things out for our good. I didn't miss, you know, the opportunity or anything like that. But I just drove myself crazy, worrying and, you know, just being stressed out about it whenever it was such a simple thing to do. But anyways, so sometimes we just get so overcome by fear and the storms and all of that, self-pity even. Like I said, I mean, laziness, all of that. I was feeling it all. I was like, I just don't have time. I'm just so tired. I just don't feel like it. Every time, you know, and sometimes that's spiritual warfare in itself. That spirit of tiredness or laziness just comes over you, like, and you just have all the excuses. Like, you know, I can just lay here. I can just, you know, I worked all week. I need to do this and I need to do that. But then when it comes time to do what you really need to be doing to move forward in your life, you're just kind of like, oh, I'm so tired. When it comes to doing that, even these YouTube videos, every night I'm like, I'm so tired. Like, God, I'm just so tired. But I actually was like, okay, I'm still going to do it. But I couldn't come up with the, what I was going to talk about. So I knew, but that was, you know, God's timing on that part, because he knew I needed to actually work on that business side of things so that I could come with a message and talk to you all about that fear and, you know, about getting your head in the game. That's really what this message is about. We have a purpose in this world. I keep telling y'all, we got a purpose. God did not put us here just to be here, just to go on about our lives and, you know, fall short and cry about it and all that. He didn't put us here for that. He put us here for a purpose. You know, we're here to help ourselves so that we can help others. We're here to grow a relationship with him, to get to know him, and then to help others to get to know him. And there are so many ways we can do that. You know, your business might not have nothing to do with God. Not saying it's sinful or anything, but just it may be something, you know, you may be doing nails, or you may be doing hair, or you may be, you know, a flight attendant, or whatever your purpose is. It doesn't necessarily have to be something to do with God, but it's God putting you in a position, or your assignment necessarily, your calling is God putting you in a position to speak to people or to lead people, or, you know, lead by example, whatever. Perfect place, perfect time. We have, everything is appointed before we were even brought into this world. That's, you know, in the Bible, God has his purposes. He knew us before we came, and he made these plans for us before we got here. So You know, you have a purpose. You're not just supposed to be living in a regular routine. While that can be part of your purpose, you actually should have some awareness of it as well. So that comes with getting to know God. A lot of times we feel like we're just living our lives because we don't know God. And I tied it into basketball today because I had a particular experience with my son playing basketball with him and just seeing his team play, and my other playing basketball with both of my boys. I'm not good, by the way, but you know, everybody has their own gifts. Basketball is not mine. Thankfully, you know, they got their thing. But I was just out there playing with them, and whenever I came home, God just gave me this message, and he just tied it all into basketball, and I was like, oh, okay. And really, you can kind of tie it into most sports. I think I watch basketball. I like basketball, so I'm going to talk about basketball, but you can make it whatever sport you want it. But anyways, first of all, I just want to talk to you about being teachable. Whenever I say anything in this video, it's not to condemn you. I'm talking about my own experiences. I'm talking about things I've gone through and what's helped me. So being teachable is the number one thing that you need as a player in the game. If you can't be corrected and be taught new things and, you know, be assessed, then you really think you know it all, and you want all the credit. You're not really going to be a good team player. You're not really going to be helpful to your team, because if, you know, you come across certain things that aren't your strengths, you're going to hinder your team. You're going to hurt them. So, you know, being willing to learn and change allows us to become better teammates. Oh goodness, I got a cramp, y'all. I worked out today, and I went hiking, and I played basketball with my kids. So just excuse me if I'm over here crying in a minute. But anyways, the main thing about being teachable is we have a coach for a reason. You know, in life, God is our coach, or he's supposed to be. But sometimes we try to be our own coach. But the problem with that is when you're in the game, you can't see everything that's happening. You can't see what the other teammates are doing. You can't see the conversations they're having. You can't see the distractions that are going on. All you see is the ball and where it's at right then in the moment. But you don't see all the other stuff. You don't see all the weaknesses that are playing out, that you all are, you know, when you're not playing well as a team, maybe. You don't see everything. But the coach, because he has that additional knowledge, he also knows you as a person and knows your teammates, and he's assessed you for your skills and weaknesses. He can see and spot things that you may not be able to see when you're in the game. And he can kind of adjust and teach you and, you know, show you and coach you. So it's the same way with God. We can't see everything. You know, we might think we're perfect, but we're not. Sorry to bust your bubble. I'm not perfect either. I'm not. So anyways, we think, you know, we may be perfect, or we might think, you know, we're the best player on the team. And when we think like that, we're not teachable. So you just want to be teachable, first of all. And part of that, you know, I'm going to give you a few plays to win the game. You have to go to practice. So going to practice, and what I, you know, relate that to is prayer. And that's whenever you're in prayer and relationship with God. So, you know, talking to God, and just really letting him teach you the error in your ways. You know, when you read the Bible, yes, it convicts you. Yes, it might make you feel bad, but keep reading it. You know, even if you don't intend to change right then, keep reading it and keep praying. Keep going to God and having a relationship with him. Ask him to show you why you need to change. It's for protection. You know, when the coach is telling you to do something, it's because he sees something that you're not seeing, and he's trying to protect you and protect the team. But if you're just stuck on doing it your way, then he can't do that. He can't do his job. And he's going to eventually take you out the game and put somebody else in. So you want to be teachable. You want to show up for practice, and you want to be ready for, you know, to be assessed, first of all. So whenever you come to God and you start praying, God is going to start showing you your gifts. He's going to start showing you your strengths, your weaknesses. So that's a blessing. You know, when a coach gets some new players, you know, he's going to assess them. Whenever you go out and try out for the team, the coach assesses what he needs. He assesses each player, you know, based on their skill level, based on their mindset, their ability to play with others, so many things. And he, you know, looks at it, are their gifts, you know, what are their gifts, what are their weaknesses? That way he can, you know, teach you some things, and also adjust whenever you're in the game. If somebody is playing on your weakness, maybe he needs to put another player in to help you with that, or, you know, to play alongside you, or maybe you need to not play as much that game. Maybe somebody else needs to play in that game because that's where your weakness is until you get stronger at that. So, you know, going to practice and praying and getting to know God, that allows you to get assessed, allows you to receive that teaching and that correction. If you're not talking to God and, you know, you're not listening, you're just focused on what you want to do and what is happening in your life, and, you know, everything else, you're just sitting there using God like a genie. Y'all know how we are. We don't go in no store and think we're about to walk out. Well, some people do, but, you know, most of us don't go in the store and think that we're going to walk out and have something but give nothing. We know that when we go in the store, we're going to spend our money. We have to be willing to sacrifice that money so that we can get those items that we want. And it's the same thing, you know, when we go to God, he's not just going to start dropping blessings on us left and right. No, we got to be willing to let go of some things so that he can give us some new things. He can teach us some new things. You can't airball and make the shot at the same time. No, you can't do both. So he's going to give you some things that really like help you to overcome and help you to make those shots every time. So you got to be willing to go in prayer and ask him. You know, ask him to help you to see your shortcomings. Ask him to give you the strength to change, the strength to avoid temptation, the endurance to fight against those things. And it won't happen overnight, but with time, you will start seeing changes. With time, you know, spending in prayer and with time spending in your word, you'll start noticing little changes. And when you really want to change them, you're really like, I want to grow. Just like in basketball, when you're really like, you want to change and you want to get better at it, you notice that you can, you know, make a lot of shots, but you can't play defense. Or, you know, if somebody starts talking junk to you, you start losing confidence. You want to listen to the coach because you want to become better. If you think that you got it all together, then you don't need a coach, right? I mean, but what team wants to play with you because you're not coachable? So spend that time in prayer and ask God to show you what you need to work on. Ask God to help you with it, help you to change your desires, and he will. It will also, you know, praying also increases your faith and confidence in God. So as you're praying and you're asking God for these changes, that's what really helped me to grow my faith, y'all. Like, I was one of the biggest sinners probably that there is. God was probably sick of me, honestly, because every night I was like, God, please forgive me for my sins. And then praying that I wouldn't die before the next night, before I could pray again, that he would forgive me for all the sins that I committed the next day. And I'm not saying I'm sinless or anything like that, but I have overcome sin. I have, you know, I'm not just living in sin like I was. I'm not just sitting out here falling victim to myself, because that's exactly what you do when you're living in sin. You know, you put yourself in situations to get hurt, and I ain't gonna go into all that because y'all know, y'all watch my other videos. You know exactly what I'm talking about, friend. So I ain't gonna get into that again. I ain't gonna get on my soapbox or whatever, but that really helped me whenever I saw that I was praying that God would change my desires, when I was praying that he would help me to stop drinking, and then I started getting sick every time I drink and started getting headaches, and I'm like, God, is that you? So then I started praying for, you know, crazy things, or it seemed crazy. It might be little, but it would happen. You know, like just praying that God would keep me from temptation, and then, you know, getting counseled on whenever I set up my little date or whatever, or my night out. You know, asking God to help me not to go out and party anymore. And then my friends go to sleep before we make it because I took too long to get ready or whatever. You know, I was mad in the moment. Well, I wasn't mad, but I was like, God, was that you? Like, I was for real, but I didn't want that to happen tonight. You know, that's how we do. We be trying to reason with God. But I'm so grateful for it because he really came in and showed me that I didn't need those things and I can be happy without it. Like, he showed me that all of those things that I thought were fun were really hurting me. And once I realized that, it was easier to overcome those sins. So it gives us faith whenever he starts answering them prayers, and, you know, it's something that we know we've been trying to do our whole life, or, you know, we've tried several times and we couldn't do it, and it's suddenly happening for us. It increases our faith, even if it's little things, you know, from praying about, you know, an outfit that you seen that you want, whatever. God, just let it still be in the store, and then you go in the store and it's still there. Like, sometimes God does a little God wink at us, you know, like, yeah, I got you, sis, I got you, bro. So, you know, sometimes God just does that just to increase our faith, especially in the beginning. Now, of course, you know, I'm not saying he doesn't bless us in the long term, but in in the beginning, like he's really trying to show us when we test God and, you know, we're trying to live and be obedient, like he really does want us to have that faith and have that confidence in him that he will come through for us, that we can trust him as our, you know, provider of so many things, not just physical things, but peace and love and joy and self-discipline. That's the number one thing, because you can't go, all them blessings that you want, you're going to blow them if you don't have self-discipline. I'm sorry to tell you, but that's what's going to happen. So anyways, you know, going to practice increases your skills and in your faith in, you know, your skills and your gifts and what you're doing, because you have your coach teaching you, you have, you know, you're working with your teammates, you're getting better at playing together, all of that. So it increases your faith in your team and in your coach. And when you go into practice is in prayer, when you go into prayer, you know, it increases your faith in God, it increases your faith in other believers, you know, when you fellowship and all of that. So also, it decreases your fear of the opposition. You know, you become more aware of their attacks. You know, your coach teaches you the different tactics of the team. So you are able to recognize those attacks, whether it's, you know, sin, you know, your own sinful desires, you recognize your bad thought patterns. If you lack confidence and your coach is like, no, you got to change you got to change how you think. You got to change that, you know, and speaking life into you, it decreases that fear. Whenever you got somebody telling you can do it, you know, when God is sitting here, you look in your Bible and you're reading and you're praying and you're like, God, I can't do it. And God is like, yes, you can. I wouldn't have put you in a situation that I wasn't going to bring you through. I wouldn't have put you into something that I couldn't help you through. I wouldn't put you somewhere that, you know, you wouldn't make it. Nah, God is with you. He's with you in everything. And he tells you that if you read your Bible, you'll read that over and over again. So, you know, going to practice, being in prayer, that helps you overcome that fear of opposition. Worship. That's the next thing. You know, it's kind of equivalent to cheering. When you have them cheerleaders and you're at your home, you know, your home court or whatever, y'all got home court advantage, and you hear your family and, you know, your loved ones and the people that love your team cheering for you every time you make a shot. You hear the cheerleaders cheering for you. They get out there in the middle, you know, at halftime and cheer for you. It encourages you. And that's the same way with worship. Worship is us thanking God. You know, it's us telling God, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for putting me here. Thank you, you know, just being in his presence, all of that. It does all of that. But it's also reminding you who God is. It's encouraging you. Like when you hear them songs, it's saying God is my provider, you know, God is my peace. All of this reminding you who God is. And you're telling him who he is and you're thanking him for being who he is. It gives you a sense of peace. It gives you a sense of confidence. It just encourages you and sets the tone. So, you know, with worship, it sets the tone for the day. Just like with cheering, it sets the tone for the game. Playing defense. So, y'all know, when you get out there, it doesn't matter how many shooters you have. Well, mostly. But, you know, if you're not playing defense and the other team, you might can win against the team that can't shoot, but if you're not playing defense and they got a couple of shooters, you know, they're going to still get out there and play ball with you. Like, you just letting them throw it up there. You just letting them take free shots. Like, your coach is going to be highly upset. So, you know, you got to play defense. And how you do that as a believer is knowing the word. I know I talk about this all the time, and I know there's so many things that people try to say to try to keep you from reading the word, saying, you know, it was changed and there's no historical accuracy and all. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. There's so many things that have been proven. There's so many things that we're still discovering that were in the Bible, even down to things that were simple, you know, back before Jesus, you know, Jews were God's people. And before Jesus died, you know, that's when we get the title as Christians, of course. But, you know, for the people who aren't familiar with the differences between Jews and Christians, we believe that Jesus came and he died for us to save us. He was the Messiah that saved us from his death, saved us from in resurrection, saved us from our sins and allows us to live and be free from sin today. So anyways, Jews in the Bible, you know, they had certain practices that we didn't, that, you know, may not have been understood by certain people, like not eating certain animals, or they had a hand washing ritual. Y'all know what we do every time we're about to eat now? Wash our hands. Why do we do that? because in the early, or sometime in the 1900s, I forgot, y'all, it's been a while since nursing school, but sometimes in the 1900s, you know, nurses realized that they were carrying bacteria and viruses and all of that from one patient to another because they weren't washing their hands. So you have to make sure you're washing your hands to prevent bacteria spreading. So whenever these plagues and things would come out, plagues that were maybe either spread, you know, by hand-to-hand contact, you know, contaminants or contaminated meat, a lot of the Jews were protected because they did not eat that meat, or, you know, those specific meats that virus or parasite was thriving in, or, you know, they had that hand washing routine. So before they ate, they would wash their hands. So that was protection for them. Now we know that it's why. Now we have a better understanding of why, but so many of these things are being revealed to us. But anyways, I ain't here to defend the Bible. Hopefully, if you've stuck with me this long, it's because you believe. So I just want you to know that, you know, you got to read the word. The word will come alive for you. And whenever you read the word, you know, the enemy fights you hard on this. He tries to make you think you're not going to understand, or it's a lie, or, you know, it's the white man's religion, or all this stuff that they say. But when you get in the word, the reason he fights the word so hard is because that's where God's truths are. If you get in the word and you hear, I'm here, I'm there with you, you know, go forward, I will be with you. And you hear all of the things, like you can be freed from sin, you can be freed from this, you can be freed from that. And you hear all this good stuff and you realize there is hope for you, that you do have a purpose, that you are called to be better, you are called to be more. And you start, you're able to defend yourself. You're able to play defense. You're able to say, whenever you hear them lies from the enemy, or, you know, other people, whatever, and whenever you feel those sinful thoughts within yourself, you can just be like, no, I ain't gonna do that. That's gonna hurt me. Like, I know that God told me to do this because it's protecting me. Or whenever, you know, people come and say, oh, you crazy for doing that. Just like they told David, don't go up there and fight Goliath. And David was like, y'all scared of this man? Y'all do know we are the army of the living God, right? All these people in God's army, you know, God's people were afraid of this giant. And this little boy comes and hits him with a stone and takes him out. We can do the impossible with God, you know, but we got to know God. We got to know what he says. That way we can defend ourselves when people like that come and say that we can't do it, say that we're not good enough, say all of these things that make us fear trying anything, make us think that we're not good enough, make us think that we're not worthy, make us think that we'll never qualify to go to heaven, so we might as well do what we want to while we're here. All of that, those are lies, but you won't know that if you're not reading your Bible. I can tell you all day, but guess what? In 2 weeks, whenever them attacks hit, you're going to forget all about what I said. That's why I always point people to the Bible, because for one, I'm a human. I'm subject to error. For two, there's so much there and I might not be hitting everything that you need. You need to go to God. You know, you need to read his word so you can see it for yourself. Another way to play defense is to be blameless. That goes back to, you know, avoiding sin, being a loving person, being kind, being forgiving. People can't talk bad about you if they have nothing to say. I mean, they can, but everybody around you that knows the truth ain't gonna believe it. And you ain't gonna believe it because, for one, if somebody says, yeah, you did such and such and, you know, whatever, you did all this dirt, and you know that you haven't done that in 10 years, or you know you never did none of that, you don't care. Like, you really don't care. And you know that everybody around you knows that they're lying, so you really don't care. And even if the other people don't know, you know God knows, so you don't care. Whenever you're blameless, whenever you don't have anything they can use against you, it doesn't have an effect on you. Also, using the power of the tongue. This is a way that you can encourage your teammates. You know, you can... I ain't gonna necessarily say, you know, talk junk to your team or the opposite team, but, you know, you have the power of the tongue to talk to yourself, to tell yourself you're not afraid, to know that God is with you. All of these things, you know, you can use the Bible to defend yourself, use what God said about you to encourage yourself, to encourage others. Playing as a team is another great way to be on the defense. If you know, y'all are taking turns, y'all know that they only got one person shooting, y'all can double team that person, triple, whatever you need to do to make sure that one person don't get no shots off. So, you know, playing as a team helps. So how you do that, you know, as a believer is fellowship, having a team. First of all, knowing God. God is your coach. You know, you need God. You need God watching you from above, telling you what's going on, telling you another play, telling you when to adjust your game, telling you all this stuff. So that, and you know, recognizing this stuff and calling it out on you. Hey, you didn't have no confidence. Hey, you missing a lot of shots because you're not taking your time and, you know, paying attention to what you're doing. You're letting them get in your head, whatever. The coach can do that for you because he sees it and you might not recognize it, and he can encourage you and he can do all of that. Like I said, you know, fellowship is just a churchy word to say having friends or, you know, associates or whatever, a church. Support. It's just a churchy word of saying having support, you know, people, other believers that can pray for you, that can encourage you, that can be there for you, you know, come in and help whenever you need it, help carry your burdens, you know, y'all carry each other's burdens, all of that. Help you to help pick you up when you fall down. So, you know, you want to play as a team. You also want to be there for other people. You want to be helping God. You know, you want to be asking God, is there something I can do to help serve your kingdom, help serve you, and, you know, help other believers so that we can work together as a team. Angels, recognize you have the power to dispatch them angels. You better use it. You know, you better call on God and ask for protection. You better call on God to ask for wisdom. You better call on God and ask for everything that you need. Don't think it's too small. Ask for it. Ask for it. He ain't gonna be mad at you for asking for wisdom. Playing offense. So this one was kind of where the message started, because I'm over here every time waiting on the enemy to attack. Why am I doing that? Why am I waiting on the enemy to attack me? Every time something's going good, I'm just like, a storm's lurking around the corner. You know, something's about to happen. I know I'm doing too good. You know, I've been encouraging all these people. I've been, you know, leading people to God. I've been faithful. I know something's coming. You got to play offense. You can't win the game if you ain't taking no shots. So, step on his neck. Anyways, I'm being extra, y'all. I'm feeling good. I feel good. It's been a good day. This message really just spoke to me for the simple fact, like I said, I was being fearful. I was letting the enemy he had me hiding. I didn't even realize it. Y'all like, we can't do that. No. So, step on his neck and let him know you about to do it. Go on and tell him right now, enemy, I'm coming for you. You know, you can't win a war if you're not out here on the battlefield. You can't win no game without taking no shots. So, how you take a shot? You know, being aggressive. Show you ain't scared. Get out there and do it whenever God tells you to do something, whenever you feel led to do something to help others, you know, whenever you feel led to speak the truth to somebody, speak it. Tell them about God. Okay, if they don't listen right then, or they don't, you know, profess their love for Jesus Christ right then and ask to be saved right then, that's okay. You planted a seed. But it's also going to help them in the long run whenever they're going through that storm and they have nowhere to go. And they remember that seed that you planted, you know, and that's the blessing. Or when somebody else comes along, then maybe they don't know, or maybe they spread the message in a way that it needed to be heard or whatever. And they already had you that planted that seed the first time and they wanted to know more, but they didn't see you after that, or they was too scared to ask you or whatever. Or maybe, you know, they just didn't want to hear it from you, whatever the case. Somebody else comes along and helps them to get to know God and to be saved. So just be obedient, you know, help. Show God. I mean, show the devil. Show him you ain't playing. Show him you ain't scared. You know, you got to start with your family, your kids, your husband, your wife, whatever. Like, friend, for real, we can't be out here being ashamed of God. And I ain't saying you got to get out on the soapbox and start. It's going to start small. Whenever you first go to God, like, he don't just have you just jumping up on the building and preaching with a megaphone or something like that. Like, nah, he don't do, like, he starts with little things. He starts with you. First of all, he changes you. And then he helps you to, you know, then you can't help it. Honestly, like, I talk about God all the time, and it's because I can't help it. And I'm not sitting here saying, like, I don't get scared sometimes to talk to people about it, because I still do, especially if it's a stranger or something like that. But, you know, it just naturally comes out after so long. When you keep filling yourself up, you're meditating on the word day and night, your life is changing. Like, you just feel so happy about it. You feel so much joy and so much peace that you want to tell other people. It just comes naturally. And whenever they start seeing that light on your life, they want to change. So, you know, leading by example, teaching others, those are offensive plays. The enemy, this is a war of souls. Like, the enemy don't care about this little storm that you're going through. He don't really care. What he cares about is the fact that if you're going to continue to follow God or if you're just going to give up. And what he cares about is if the next person, if you speaks to them about God, or if they see that God is doing so much in your life that they want to get to know God, and it inspires them and encourages them. That's what he cares about. Because when you start changing other people, like, he's losing. He already lost, to be clear. Like, this is already done. But, he's still out here trying his best to win. But he's already defeated. So what all he's doing now, he hates us because he lost his position in heaven. He hates us because we're still here. We still have the opportunity to change. We still have the opportunity to go to God. He doesn't. He lost his chance. So all he wants to do is let us die with him. He hates us. He wants to take as many of us with him as he can. So he wants us to give up. He wants us to be scared. He wants us to not, he wants us to be distracted. He wants us to be too busy. He wants to destroy us. That's his whole intention. He wants to destroy us. He's mad. Y'all, look, he got kicked out of heaven for his pride and his arrogance. And he's mad because, Jesus came and died for us. Like, hey, I know they sinful, but I still love them. He's mad because we got a second chance. We got another chance to turn it around. And he don't like that. He hates it. So, he wants to destroy as many of us as he can. He knows he's lost the battle. He just wants to take us with him. So recognize you already won the game. As long as you stick with God, you already won the game. It don't matter what the enemy does to you. It don't matter what happens to you in this life. When you with God, you won. Period. Now, living in obedience and, walking with God, it does come with certain protections. And it does, having faith and, doing good works, it does come with blessings and rewards. And it does help other people in the kingdom. And it helps inspire people. But either way, once you come to God and you get to know God, you're saved. The enemy got a problem. So anyhow, having courage and faith in God, that's offensive because like, first of all, I ain't even worried about if I win, as far as a basketball game, you might lose a game here and there, but you're going to win at the end. So you're not worried about it. It's having that courage and that faith in God that no matter what, you good, you're straight. So, also being quiet. That's offensive. So, you want to play offense, right? So people think, getting out there and talking junk is everything, but sometimes that gives away that you're afraid. That gives away that you're trying to overcompensate. That gives away that you're insecure. That gives away that you're losing and you're mad. Being quiet is intimidating. Have you ever argued with somebody that was just like, not saying nothing? Like, you can't get a peep out of them? That's intimidating. Like, are they crazy? Are they about to kill me? What's going on? Like, they're not even talking back. They're not saying anything. You can show them better than you can tell them. Don't do all that talking. You can just be quiet. Being silent speaks volumes. You don't need to tell your every move. You don't need to be talking about everything that you're about to do for God, for yourself, whatever. You don't need to talk about everything. Of course, if you got, you want to share your blessings with people, that's okay if you talk to God about it first. Make sure it's free to be released before you start speaking on it, because you don't want nobody coming at you trying to tear down something before you even build it. So, back to obedience. It's the same thing as following plays. If the coach tells you what to do in the game and you getting out here and you trying to do it your way every single time, like you don't trust what the coach says, you just trying to do it your way, you're hindering the team. Like, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're messing up the other players because they're all trying to follow the play and you're trying to do what you want to do. That ain't gonna work. So, the best players, or the most valuable players, I should say, our MVPs, they can be corrected. They are teachable. They can adjust their game as needed. When they're out on the court and they see the other team is playing a certain way and it's not how they usually play, they know how to adjust accordingly. They know how to teach and they know how to lead. They can lead their other players. They can lead by example. They can teach them. They're team players. They recognize that other people can shine too. You don't got to get out here and do everything on your own. Let your other, that's the whole point of having other believers. We're all part of the body of Christ. We all have our own purposes. We all have our own gifts, our own weaknesses. So we have to play as a team. Recognize that we can't do it on our own and let other people shine too. Be confident. That speaks for itself. Be confident in God if nothing else. You don't got to believe that you can't do it. The whole reason that our dreams are so big is because we can't do it by ourselves. We can do it with God though. So, know that you can do it. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You can do it. If it's within God's will for your life, you can do it. If he gave you that vision, you can do it with him. But you leave him out of the equation, yeah, it's not going to work out. So, or it might work out for a little bit, but then, when the storms hit and all that, I don't know what to tell you. But that was me. Y'all know. I was just trying to do it on my own. I wasn't talking to God about it, and I got afraid. I got scared because it started looking a little too intimidating, but it was too intimidating for me. But with God, I know I got this, so I ain't even worried. Anyways, the MVPs, they also encourage their teammates. Like I said, it goes back to being a team player. They recognize the gifts and strengths in the other players and allow them to shine in that in the game too. And they actually, work together. Like, hey, we can do this. Maybe alley-oop, something like that, whatever. Also, they can play offense and defense. You got to be doing both. You can't just, you can play defense. I mean, yes, sometimes there are players that just play good defense, but most coaches want players that can play both, offense and defense. That way they can win. They got more people out there that's, not just always shooting and can't block a ball. Most people that go to the NBA have both, at least a little bit of both. I know there's a few players that, anyway, my bad. I ain't mean that. I ain't say that. Sorry, y'all. God's still working on me. But also being strong-minded, taking every thought obedient to Christ. When you hear them thoughts and them lies and all that negativity, you got to be able to see if it adds up to what God said. If it don't, you got to be able to dismiss it. Same way in the game. If you playing basketball and you letting the other team get in your mind and you letting, you missing a couple of shots get in your head and you letting all this, anxiety get to you, you can't be the best player out there or the best player that you can be, period. Because you're in your head. You don't have a strong mind. So you got to build your mindset. You got to know, I got to change the way I'm thinking. I got to, speak words of affirmation over myself, remind myself who I am, remind myself who God says I am. Have a good work ethic. You can't expect that God is going to do all the work. Yes, he's amazing. But if you want something, you got to be willing to put in some work. You got to be willing to study. You got to be willing to, pray. You got to be willing to, yes, I'm tired, but I'm going to sit here and talk to God. I did everything else in my day. I'm going to make time for him. And yes, I didn't do nothing else. I'm going to read my Bible. I'm going to actually learn something from God. I'm going to ask him to teach me something. You got to be willing to put in that work. Not just with, your relationship with God, but just in life. If he gives you a vision and you just sitting here like, yeah, God's going to give me a business and, it's going to run itself and I ain't got to do nothing but sit at home all day. I don't even got to make no calls. I don't even got to manage it. I don't got to do nothing. I don't know about that, but whatever, talk to God about it. Anyways, you got to have passion, and that comes from having that relationship with God, just knowing God, developing that love for him and recognizing who he is in our lives. Having that passion makes you want to read the Bible. It makes you want to spend time with him. It makes you want to worship. It makes you want to, do things for him. It makes you want to do things for his people. You want to help in the kingdom. So, to do anything well, you got to be passionate about it. If you really want to, well, I ain't gonna say anything, but whenever the best players, the best people in anything that you do, the best people that do it are the ones that are passionate about it, that really care about how it's going to come out. So being passionate about God and, what he's doing in your life, that's going to help you to go way further than just, just kind of like talking to him whenever you can or whatever. So anyhow, those are my tips. I know this was a long video, but look, I didn't have a video last week and I try to post one every week. So y'all got some extra in today. And I hope that this really blesses and helps you going forward. It's really helped me. Like I said, I was excited as I was writing it. I was excited as the ideas were flowing and, the Holy Spirit was speaking to me. So I really pray that this blesses you as well. I am going to get off here and head to bed because we had a game in the morning. But I love you so much and I really appreciate you coming by, listening to me. And I pray that this changes you forever. Okay, that was extra. Anyways, but I do pray that it helps you and helps you with your relationship with God. Have a blessed one.